going to go through some of the screens that we've added to X3 to aid with the integration. We'll go through some of that setup. We'll look at processing an order, pushing that order to a shipment in X3, then transitioning over to the StarShip shipping station, pulling in a shipment, packaging it out in StarShip, and then ship processing it with UPS, FedEx, or a freight carrier. And then we're going to look at how that integration comes back into the X3 system with packaging, a tracking number, and some of the freight costs. And then we'll also take a look at some of the features that StarShip has built into it around some of their email workflows and a little bit about the StarShip dashboards that you'll get. So I'm gonna start by clicking through a few of these different setup screens that we've changed on X3, and this should be some of it's a little bit straightforward, but it's good to see all the different touch points that we have. So one of the first things that we've done under the Common Data module, if we look at our products, we've added a miscellaneous tab to the products that allows us to capture a couple of different pieces of information. So if you're shipping your products and you're shipping them out freight, there's a few different things that you might need if you're shipping international or if you're just shipping freight. So the most common thing you'll need to specify is the freight class for that product. Depending upon how specific it is, you might have an NFC class and subclass. And then if you're shipping international, we've added a country of origin and a Schedule B code to just streamline the process so that you enter all of this information once on your products when you're setting them up, and it'll flow downstream to the shipping system when that information needs to be pulled in to make generating some of the documents like the bill of lading and your country of origin. All those pieces of information will be readily available for those documents. And from there, under Common Data in the logistics tables, we've added a mapping screen called StarShip Mapping. And this screen, it's going to be used one time when you do your initial mapping between X3 and StarShip. So within X3 you have a carrier and a delivery mode or a shipping mode. So they're two separate pieces of information about how you're going to be sending something. In the StarShip world you have one field for that, and it's just going to be your ship via. So this screen lets us go through and say that for FedEx as our carrier, air as our shipping mode, when it gets to the shipping system we want that to be a specific code. In this case it's set up just a little bit weird. That's going to say, okay, we're going to ship it FedEx freight one day. And then we would just build this chart out for all the different mappings that you need to do. This makes it easy for you if you want to switch between, say, different ground carriers. You already had your delivery mode picked, and you were going to go between FedEx or UPS when you were entering your sales order. So this is just it's a mapping screen to get everything in line, the data between the two systems. Now if we go to under Common Data again, under the business partners, if we look at our customers, on the miscellaneous tab, we're giving you the ability to save a customer's shipping account number. So if you have a customer that always wants their account with UPS, FedEx, or some carrier to always be charged, or the ability to look that account up the next time you enter an order, what we see on this screen is the ability to pick an existing ship-to address specify which carrier that account is going to be for, and then you can go ahead and type in the account number. So at the master record, you're saving what their UPS account number is, and it'll streamline the process the next time they take an order for that customer. If there is an account number on file, it's going to automatically default with the default settings. It'll pick up this 74 account number and fill it in, and it won't bill your UPS account, it'll bill the customers.
Mike?
Yes.
Is that tab already in native V7?
So this tab is, it's not. This is a feature that we're adding. All the screens that I'm showing right now are just additional screens we're adding with this StarShip integration package we have.
Okay.
I'm going to close out of there, and we'll take a look at under Common Data, Business Partners, Carriers. We've added a little bit to the carrier screen, and what we've added is a billing type setup. So for each one of the carriers you specify, you can determine what types of billing that carrier allows. If we're doing UPS, it's very simple. We're going to say that this accepts recipient billing, so we can bill somebody else's account. We can do third-party billing or collect billing. So this is where you can determine what you want to allow in your order entry process for someone to specify as a billing type for the shipping. So along with that, we only have one more setup screen under Common Data and Product Tables. We've modified the Packages screen, and we've added only one field here, which is called StarShip Lookup. And what this does is it lets us synchronize the package types from X3 to a package type that exists in StarShip. So when we're writing back the packaging from StarShip to X3, we know which package type in X3 we need to use for the specific type of package in StarShip. So that's all the initial setup that could be done and some of the master records where you can save some new pieces of data. Now we'll go through the order entry process and look at a couple of the different billing types and how that's going to interact with the screen. So I'm going to go to Sales Orders. And I'm going to start entering a new sales order. I'm going to fill in all the standard pieces of information that you'd normally have, my shipping site, who I'm selling to, and on the delivery tab, I'm going to say that I'm going to ship this ground, and it's going to be UPS ground. And I'll add a few products here. Let's see. Okay, so I have my lines added, and I'm going to take a look at this miscellaneous tab. This is a new tab that we've added to the sales order. So this is the freight billing block, and here we can see, because I picked a customer that had a UPS account on file, it automatically changed the freight billing type here to say that it was a recipient billing, and it defaulted in the UPS account I had on file. If I didn't want to do that, I could always change this to prepaid, and it would go ahead and use our account number and charge the customer. Or I can choose a third-party billing. So in this instance, I'm trying to sell something to Walmart, and maybe they have a third party that they want to be billing all the time for some of their different stores. So when I'm picking third-party billing, it gives us the ability now to look up a different business partner. So I'm going to pick their distribution center, and I can specify an address. And then it's going to pull in the account number for the address that's on file for that third-party business partner. So this is where you can really manipulate how you want that freight billing to occur. And then you can specify the account number if you have one. So we'll go ahead and create this. Another thing that we've added, if you had an address on file but you wanted to see what we were using as the freight address for third-party or consignee billing, we've added a freight address option underneath the addresses menu. So this now I can confirm if this is the right address for that third-party billing. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push my sales order to become a delivery. And now that I have my delivery created, we'll take a quick look on the miscellaneous tab, which is something that we added new to the delivery. And you'll see that we have a freight amount, a tracking number field, and then all that billing information that flowed down from the sales order. So the freight amount will represent the actual amount that you were charged when you were doing the shipping. So that's the applied amount. If I'm paying to ship something out and I'm using UPS, I can now see what my applied amount was in comparison to what I may have charged my customer on one of my freight invoicing elements. The tracking number field that we see here is the master tracking number. So if we're shipping out multiple packages with FedEx or UPS, sometimes you get a master tracking number, which would represent all the packages. And then we'll see once we process this, we'll also get all the detailed packaging information with the individual tracking numbers by package. So at this point, we're done.
Sorry, quick question.
Yep.
So what you were just saying was the freight amount and the tracking number flow backwards from StarShip?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
So at this point, we're done in X3 for the time being. We would now be this shipment would be available to be pulled up in StarShip at the shipping workstation. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of these screens. And we'll go ahead and pull up StarShip. So when your shipper is looking at StarShip, the field that they're going to start the shipment with is this right here, the Sage ERP X3 order field. And they might have, a shipping document that they could scan that would have the shipping number on it, the shipment number, if you had like a wedge scanner or a tethered scanner. And then that would start the process. Or you can use the magnifying glass here as a lookup to see which shipments are out there and available to be pulled in. So my latest shipment that we just created was shipment 66. And I can select that, and at this point it's pulling all the information about what needs to be shipped from the X3 database. So what was fed in here, we've got the carrier, the service, that billing information and account. If we go over to the line items, you can see in the small grid below the different products we're selling. Those were automatically pulled in. And as I click through these on the line item screen, you'll see that the description came in, the product number, and the units to ship. If I look at the order tab, the order number here represents the shipment number in X3. I can also see the sales order number here. And this additional field that has an N in it is just letting us know that there's no applied charge that's going to be written back to X3 for this order, because as a company we're not being charged for this this freight amount that's going to be incurred. That's going to the customer's third-party account. All of the sender information about where this is being sent from is pulled in from the X3 company. The recipient information is coming from that sales order and shipment. So this is all the address information flows in naturally. In my version, I can't do the address validation because we're not on a full license here. It's just a demo license. But the address would be validated at the point where it's pulled in to StarShip. It's going to automatically validate the address. In my case, I have a small question mark here on my address validation button saying it's not validated. If you make any changes to the address, you'll see this question mark here, and you can always push the button again to validate the address to make sure all that information is correct and it's going to work with UPS or FedEx.
So that validation step happens through their software, right?
Yes. So they're using a service, I believe it's called Dial-A-Zip, that's included with this, that'll go out and verify that the address is accurate. If this was something that we were shipping as a company and we had multiple carrier accounts, and I wanted to determine, will this be more cost effective to send it FedEx 2-day versus UPS 2-day? There's a rate shopping built into the StarShip application. You would just go ahead and you would fill out how you wanted things to be packed and what your products and weights were, and then you could hit and run this this rate shop by just specifying when the required delivery date was and what time, and it would go out and it would get quotes from any of the APIs that were available, and this is mainly UPS and FedEx. There are a number of freight carriers that have direct feeds with StarShip that could give us some quotes there, and it'll let you see the different options and charges. And then that would make it very easy for you by clicking one of the options to swap out what service and carrier we were using. The charges tab we have here, this would show any of the different line charges if we were adding some special features. Maybe you wanted to do Saturday delivery or require a signature, things like that would show here under required charges. There's also the ability to have negotiated rates with some of the carriers, so you can see what your contract rate was to ship something versus what the list rate was. And we also have the ability to go ahead and add upcharges or handling fees. That comes more into play if you're charging your customer the number we're getting out of StarShip versus just showing that number in X3. And it can really be configured either way. So the package that we've built out of the box, what you get with the integration is we assume that you're charging your customer upfront for freight, and then you just want to report on the amount of the charges that came back from StarShip. It can also be configured so that the shipment is updated with the actual cost plus a handling fee as an invoicing element, and then when you create your invoice, the customer is charged for that more accurate shipping rate. So it all depends at what point you're telling the customer how much it's going to cost to ship something. And then the Sage X3 tab we have here, this lets us know if X3 has been updated with the information that's been processed here in StarShip. So before we press the Ship Process button, the write back status is going to say not updated. Once a shipment's been processed, that'll say that it has been updated. So going through the packaging process now, we have a grid here where we can determine how many boxes these pieces of it's jalapeno dip or bean dip we're selling are going to be in. And by default, we have it set up to automatically pack everything out into one box. But if we had to split this out, say, into 3 individual boxes, I'm just clicking an Add Package button here, where it's going to add the same box type that my default box is. When I click on each one of these, it switches through the different packaging tabs, and I could change the different boxes. So if package 2 of 3, if I didn't want to ship a small box, I wanted to use a medium box, I could do so. And then to move the quantities of a product from one package to another, packaging things out it's a click and drag interface. So if I want to move the entire quantity of something to a package, I just click and drag it. If I wanted to move maybe 5 units of this to my second package, I would hold down on the control key and click and drag, and it asks how many quantity of the items do I want to move to split this amongst 2 packages, and I'll say I want to move 5, and now I have some of it there with the remainder over there. So it lets you do the packaging in a click and drag method.
And those pack codes are the ones coming from the package table in X3?
Yes. So when we do the initial setup in StarShip, we'll create the same package IDs here that we had over on X3. That way everything is in sync just with the package types. So I can see that I only have 3 available right now. This one still weighs a bit too much, so I'm just going to see what I can do to move some of these somewhere else. And now I see that it's all packed out appropriately for UPS. This is good to go. So at this point, I can hit the Ship Process button. And what's going to happen when I hit Ship Process is the information for this is going to go to UPS, and we're going to get tracking numbers back for everything. At the shipping workstation, you might have a thermal printer that's printing off the UPS labels that you're going to peel off and put on the packages. And X3 is also going to get some information back immediately, and then certain parts of the information will be stored in a table that will be processed periodically. So what X3 will see immediately once this is processed is the master tracking number and the freight amount. That's going to update the shipment instantly. The packaging information is written back on a batch process. So over a period of time, you might schedule it to run every hour, you might schedule it to run at the end of the day, just however up to date you need the packaging information in X3, and there's also the ability to run that on demand. Now if this was a shipment that was going out freight or international, when I did the ship process here, it would start printing off some of the shipping documents that I needed. So it would generate a bill of lading, the certificate of origin, shipper letter of instruction, all that would be printed off.
Are those documents, do they differ by the vendor's preference, or are they ours?
So the documents that you're going to get, out of the box, so like the UPS and FedEx, I'm pretty sure they have specific ones. Some of the other documents for the freight carriers are more generic, and they can be changed by carrier to meet the standards that that specific carrier needs. All the documents that come out of StarShip, we can set conditions when we want them to print. So if one of your customers wanted a document to look a little bit differently than the other, we can do it by customer number, by carrier number, by certain conditions, so you can get out exactly the right documents that you need to process that shipment.
Okay, and are those customizable by us as the client, or do we have to go to NextTech for those customizations?
Yes, so you as the client can customize these documents. The tool to customize the shipping documents is built right into the StarShip application, so I could show that to you guys in just a minute. It's not Crystal Reports. It's a proprietary. It's built-in tool, so it just lets you click and drag fields, and they've got a a built-in help that'll kind of guide you through how to design out the reports. We could always give you a little bit of training on that, or if you wanted to contact V Technologies, the publisher of StarShip, they are also very good at changing the reports or giving you support on developing different reports there.
Okay.
So I'm going to ship process this, and since I don't have a label printer, nothing's coming out here, and that's it. We're done with the process in StarShip, and we can bounce back to X3. Now, the process that I was talking about that would be running periodically is this StarShip interface. And just for our sake, since I don't have it running periodically, we're going to kick it off manually right now. So under Sales Deliveries, you'll have this Execute StarShip Interface button. And I'll just say OK to start it. And as it's running, it'll give us a log file, and the log file tells us what's been created. So on that shipment 66, I had 4 different packages, and my packaging's been completed for that shipment, and any temporary records have been cleared out. So at this point, I've got my tracking number, I have the freight amount, and I also have the packaging completed. So I'm going to go into that delivery now, and we'll just look at those different tabs. So for shipment 66, I've got a tracking number. There was no freight amount in this case because we did it third party. Somebody else was being billed. Going into the packaging button, we can now see the packages were created, and each individual package has a tracking number, as well as those certain quantities of the individual products, so you can see what was in each package and the number of packages you had. So what this saves you from doing is you don't have to package anything out in X3. The integration handles creating that packaging. So that's really the end-to-end process of going from your customer record to your order to the delivery. Now we can look at some of the other features that we have within StarShip itself. So when you're purchasing StarShip, you're really going to be getting 3 elements. You're going to be getting the StarShip shipping application here that's going to let you process the shipments. There is an e-notify workflow engine that StarShip comes with that allows you to send off different shipping notifications. It also allows you to attach PDF copies of the different shipping reports and send them to your customer. So if you wanted to send out maybe a bill of lading as an attachment to the customer when something's shipped, it can do that. And then there's also, yes?
That process you just described, is that automated, or do we have to actively generate the report and then attach it and send it in an email?
That's an automated process. You set up different constraints saying that when these conditions are met, I want it to automatically be sent off. And there's also abilities for a delay there. So if you want it automatically sent off at the end of the day, it can do that. It can also do it automatically when you hit your ship process button, so as soon as it's been shipped. And then outside of the workflow engine, the third portion of StarShip is really the StarShip dashboard. And the dashboard is really good for quick inquiries where you don't want to go all the way back into StarShip to see something. But really, since we've integrated most of the data with X3, you could limit your inquiries to X3 at that point. So we'll just pull up the StarShip dashboard to go through that real quick so you can see what type of features are included here. A lot of this is kind of similar to some requesters. They're just very simple user-defined queries. I'm going to look at maybe the shipment history, and you'll see that it pulls up a very simple grid. You can do a few different filters and searches through this, but I can see that today we processed shipment 66 and where it went, some of that information. If I go ahead and double click on it, I can get more detailed information about it. If I had a workflow message sent off, I could take a look at that and see what the shipment notification looked like. If there was updated tracking information, I could get that coming automatically back from UPS or FedEx to see what the status of this shipment was. And then if we requested for like a proof of delivery signature on receipt, you could also come here to pull that up. So those buttons will go out to the UPS or FedEx sites. In addition to that, you've got some performance indicators if you wanted to keep track of who was shipping how many packages per day. We've got things like a shipment by user. You'd create individual user accounts for all your shippers, and then you could do a little bar chart here to see how well people were doing, how many packages they were getting out a day, shipments by carrier, location. So just a couple of different charts and KPIs. And then there are some more reports that are very similar, so things like open shipments, daily shipments, maybe a FedEx history, UPS history. I'll just go ahead and run this daily shipments report. These reports are running on the Crystal Reports engine. It's not very often that we customize these, but they are available out there. And so very quickly I can see what I've shipped today so far. Now when we're talking about that workflow engine, I'm just going to go ahead and open the eNotify template designer. And all of the email notifications that you'll send out are going to be designed or started in this template designer. And they've got a few out of the box that you can start with as examples. We'll just go over this really quick. I'm going to open up one of their template email messages. And this one is the shipment notification for parcel shipments. So it looks like almost an Outlook window where you can go ahead and you could type anything that you wanted, but you also have the ability to bring in dynamic fields from the StarShip shipment. So any of the fields that are available in StarShip are available to be clicked and dragged into here, either in different grids or any of these blue fields, so it's very easy to change how this is formatted. And I'm just going to load in some preview data here. And so you can switch between your design and your preview very quickly. So you can see if I had scheduled this, my customers are going to get emails that look like this for whatever I ship out. So you can see it's very possible to have your tracking number in there, a breakout of what was in the packages, quantities ordered, and then maybe up here you could have a letterhead and then your company information. Under the template properties, we can say that this is enabled or disabled, and then when we want it to occur. So when something is shipped, we want this to be enabled, We can choose the schedule, so delayed by 5 minutes or immediately, and then what locations we want this message to go out for. And if I was to apply this and I had my email server settings correct, this would go ahead and start sending out messages right away. So these are things that, you know, are easily customizable. You guys could get in there and change it up a little bit if you wanted to. Adding attachments is very simple. There's an add attachment button, and then you can choose shipment data, and then here are all the different types of reports that are very easily attached. So the report will generate with the shipment in StarShip, and it'll automatically attach as a PDF copy.
Okay, and then this just works through our Exchange server like any other email then?
Yes. And then the other thing I wanted to just touch on here is the reporting within StarShip itself. So if I go to my setup and printing, I can go to Manage Templates. And Manage Templates lets me modify any of the user-defined reports. So what we're seeing here with all these locks on them, these are all the out-of-the-box reports. There are some reports that you can't really change, like the UPS labels or UPS documents. Those are fixed in. You can't change anything about them. But if I was going to go down here and look at maybe this commercial invoice, it's a standard commercial invoice, I can create a copy of it and then call it my commercial invoice, and it's going to bring us right into the report designer. So all these different fields are the fields that are available in StarShip. You can click them and drag them. You can add additional fields. Or text. And anything that was available over in the StarShip screen is available here. Then once I want to schedule a report or define the parameters when this is going to be called, I would go over to Manage Documents, and then I can go to Document Settings and say that this report's enabled. I always want it to go out to maybe a laser printer. If I wanted to also save a PDF copy to a network location, I could do that. I can determine when it's going to auto print, so either on the time that the shipment's going out or at the end of day. And there's a button here also to say whether or not we want to have a preview pop up for the shipper just to see what the report's going to look like. You can specify what carriers this report works for. And then you can also add additional conditions. So this is if you want to get a little bit more granular for each individual report. If it maybe was by customer or something like that, I could specify that. So that's really high level all of the different features and functionality. Did you guys have any questions? Were there things that we haven't touched on yet that are outstanding?
Well, that kind of answers my questions, actually. So this has been, do you have any clients that are presently using this live on V7?
I don't know that we have anybody that's gone live with it on V7. Do we, Chris? It's just we have new installations that are in the implementation process with this on V7.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. So, yeah, we've recently migrated this to V7 internally, and we've done a lot of testing. We've done quite a few demos out of here, and we've got one customer where we're implementing the solution right now. So they're actually not live with it, but they're in the process of the implementation.
Okay. All right. And this operates, the email notify system operates independently of any other workflows that are generated by the X3 application, correct?
Right. And the important, an important distinction to make is you'll only have data that's available in StarShip to you when you're designing those specific workflows. So if we need extra data to come from X3, we need to build that, maybe into the integration in some user-defined fields. But any of the information you saw that, I went through on those tabs will be available for that e-notify. That's that's a StarShip feature. It comes from them.
Okay. And this is a local application that would need to live on the device that's generating, it's being used to operate StarShip, correct?
Yes. So all of these are full Windows applications. There's nothing really web-based aside from that dashboard that you saw. You can set up the dashboard to be accessed through the the web. But all of this stuff that we looked through, you'll have a client server set up where your server will be running the StarShip services, and your different shipping stations will be running the StarShip, the full application that we have up here. Wherever you want to install the template designer, it's not really that important, because it's going to push those templates out to the database, and whenever someone's using the full StarShip application here, it'll use those templates.
You said the dashboard could be pushed out or accessed via browser?
Yes. So that is a web-based dashboard. It runs by default here on port 64403.
Okay. So
I think really one of the only other things you want to do is make sure that all the carriers you're using exist in the StarShip's integration, or if they don't have every carrier that you're using, there's a manual processing module that still lets you use StarShip to send out all the documents and print the documents. But as far as if I was doing freight shipping with some smaller company that doesn't have an API available for StarShip to automatically schedule a pickup, I would still have to call them on the phone and say, hey, I have stuff that needs to be picked up. Can you come, schedule that pickup? But you would have all your bill of lading and freight documents generated out of StarShip and ready.
Okay. Any questions from the WorldShip users? Go ahead.
Do we know if C.H. Robinson has the ability to communicate with StarShip?
So I don't know the answer to that, but I could ask the V Technologies, the StarShip team.
It's just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I don't know offhand, but we could definitely get an answer for you on that.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Michelle?
Yeah?
Michelle? What other companies might we be using besides UPS, FedEx, C.H. Robinson that are of high volume?
C.H. Robinson is basically like our broker. We go through C.H. Robinson. They set up all our loads with the companies that we use, but we use UPS, FedEx, R&L, Redaway, Conway, J.B. Hunt, but they're booked out. They're not booked through us. They book through someone else.
Hey, Mike?
Yes.
Mike Dennis.
Is it possible to get just a list from V Technologies as to who has the APIs that'll work with this product?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Anything else, anyone? Okay.
All
I
right.
think that's it, Mike.
Okay. Well, if you come up with any other questions, you can just feel free to send us an email,
Sure thing.
and I'll get back to you with that listing.
All right. Well, thanks for your time.
Hey guys, thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Mike. Great job. Thanks, Eric and team for attending.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.